We are at the 2013 Ripcord Association reunion. We are talking now with Harold Day of Ava, Missouri, and the interviewer is James Smither of the Grand Valley State University Veterans History Project. Okay, Harold, can you start us off with some background on yourself? And to begin with, where and when were you born?
I was born in Ava, Missouri, June 26, 1949.
Okay, and what part of the state is that in?
Southern part, central southern.
Okay, so kind of up in the hills? And
It is in the hills.
yeah, all right. And did you grow up there?
Yes.
Okay, and what did your family do for a living when you were growing up?
Restaurant business
Okay.
and farming.
Okay. And did you finish high school?
No.
Okay. When did you leave school?
10th grade.
Okay. And how old were you? 16?
16, I guess,
Okay.
yeah.
And then what did you do after you left school?
Went to Kansas City and eventually went to work at General Motors and put 10 years in there. And then got into the auto body business.
All right. But then somewhere along the line, Uncle Sam came knocking, though, right?
Yes, he did.
All right. And when did you get drafted?
8 April 1969.
All right. And where do you have to go then for basic training?
Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Okay. And at that point when you got drafted, how much did you know about Vietnam or what was going on over there?
I knew there was a war going on and people was getting killed.
All right. And did you just go on with your life and figure if they draft you, they draft you?
Went on with my life until they said, I want you.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you have veterans in your family, in your father's generation?
I had an uncle that I never did know and everything. He was in World War I.
Okay.
A few, not a lot of us.
All right. Okay, so now you've got the call, you go to Leonard Wood. What kind of reception do you get when you show up for training? What kind of reception do you get?
What, when I come home or what?
No, when you go to the bus, the bus takes you out to the fort, you get off the bus for basic training, what happens?
Oh, it is get you your clothing issued to you and everything and start training.
All right. How did the drill instructors treat you?
It was tough. Some of them.
Mm-hmm.
But good, but they had to be tough.
I mean, was it a way that was essentially fair? I mean, if you did
Oh
things
yeah,
their way?
I would have to say, yeah. They done remarkable things with us, and that's my opinion.
All right. And how easy or hard was it for you to adjust to life in the military?
I feel that I just okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, you were all right with taking orders and the discipline and that kind of thing?
Yeah, that has to be.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of how you grew up or what you were used to?
Yeah, you do what you're told.
Right. Okay. Now, were there some guys who were there in training who were having trouble with that? Or making trouble?
No, I don't think anybody deliberately did that. There was some of them that was obviously slower,
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't comprehend quite as quickly. But no, they trained us well and everything, and you have to be on top of it to gather it all in. They did it to save our lives.
Right. Now, were a lot of the instructors people who had been to Vietnam already?
I would most likely.
Okay.
I don't recall that exactly.
Okay. They didn't really talk about it, maybe, but
No.
they seemed to have experience.
Right.
All right. And about how long does the basic training last?
2 months.
Okay, so about 8 weeks. Yeah. All right. And then what do they do with you next?
Send us to AIT, Advanced Individual Training and everything, and then that gets our MOS assigned to us and everything. And I was 11 Delta, that's armored,
All right. So where did you do your AIT?
Fort Knox, Kentucky.
All right. And how was AIT different from basic?
We're doing, other than just exercising and everything, we're learning equipment or training in the field that we're going to be working in.
All right. And what kind of vehicles did you train on?
What was it, M114, I believe, and tanks.
Okay, so armored personnel carriers and tanks, basically.
Yeah.
All right.
M48s, M60s.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then within that, did you have do you train for all the different jobs, or do you specialize?
No, just the armor.
Yeah, but I mean, do you train as a driver or a gunner or mechanic or whatever?
All the above.
Okay. So you have to do all of the jobs in the vehicle. And,
Well, yeah, you have to do general maintenance on
Yeah.
it. If anything major breaks down, no, it goes
Right,
to the rear
right.
and it gets worked on.
Yeah. But otherwise, you're sort of trained for whatever position in a tank crew they need. They
Right,
put you
you
in.
know, yeah,
Okay.
we all swapped around on
All
different.
right. Now, when you're in tanks, did you think that maybe they'd send you to Germany or someplace? Because
Oh, no.
you
No,
figured it's still
when I
Vietnam.
was drafted, when you was drafted at that time, you knew you was going to Vietnam.
All right. Okay. So you got what, about another 2 months doing that, or is that?
Yeah, there's another 2 months of training
Okay.
there.
And then after that, are you going to go home and go to Vietnam, or do they
I'm
have
gonna go
something?
home for 30 days and then go to Vietnam.
All right. What did your family think about your getting drafted?
They, all of them, I'm sure, done a lot of praying.
All right. So now, you get your 30 days. Now, how did they get you out to Vietnam?
I flew. I went to Oakland, I believe it was, and then flew out of Oakland, went to Hawaii, then Guam, then Vietnam.
All right. And was this in a chartered commercial jet, or?
Yes.
Okay. And what's your first impression of Vietnam when you get there?
Hot and muggy.
And where did you land?
Long Binh, I think
Yeah.
it was.
One of the big bases outside of
Yeah.
Saigon. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. And then, did you land during the day or at night?
daytime.
Okay. And you get off the plane and it's hot. What do they do with you?
Oh, went through processing and then get her jungle fatigues and stuff like that, and then they assign you to the outfit that you're going to go to, and then go to your outfit.
All right. And
That
that-
was about 3 days.
Okay. And what unit do they assign you to?
First one was the 1st Infantry Division, Quarter Cab, 1st Infantry Division.
Okay. It's 1st Battalion, 4th Cavalry in the 1st Infantry Division. All
Fir-
right.
1st and 4th Cab, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to decode that for the outside audience.
Yeah.
You know, I talked to a 3/4 calf guy, and now you're a 1/4 calf guy. So, all right. You do that. And where were they based at the time?
The Quarter Cab was in Lai Kay,
And where is that relative to Saigon?
north.
Okay. Now, is that getting into hill country by then, or just,
No, it was before the hill country.
all right. And is the area around that, was that farms or plantations or forest or?
Yeah, there was, in our area, there was a rubber plantation there called the Michelin,
Yeah.
and that it was, rice fields and things like that.
Okay. Now, the cavalry unit you were assigned to, was that an armored unit?
Yes,
Okay. And what kind of vehicles did they have?
M113s, and I believe that's correct, and M48 tanks.
All right. And then what job were you given when you got there?
I was driving a tank.
Okay. And when you joined them, were they out in the field or were they in a base?
Yes.
Okay. And so how did they get you out to the unit?
I can't really remember. I think we probably went on a truck, maybe a supply truck or something.
Okay.
I don't recall that just exactly.
But you didn't go everywhere by helicopter?
No.
Or drive?
No.
places? Yeah.
No.
All right. And, okay, you join the, and then what kind of reception do you get when you join your company? Just,
I don't really recall that and everything. It was just, go to work.
okay. They just tell you you're with this tank crew and,
Yeah, I probably did. I didn't initially start driving. It was a gunner on it, and then it wasn't long that I went to driving.
okay. Now, before they sent you in the field, did the 1st Division give you any kind of orientation for Vietnam?
Yeah, but I don't recall all the details to that and everything. It was probably just some of the things like we'd done in basic and AIT training for Vietnam,
Yeah.
which was,
Watch for booby traps and
yeah,
that kind
right.
of thing. Yeah. All right. Now, was there much going on in your area at the time you joined your unit?
I don't think a lot. We run convoys, and then we done some missions and you know, some shooting, not a drastic amount, but yeah, getting shot at and stuff. But
Okay. Now, did you have a sense that this was particularly dangerous at this point, or?
I felt pretty safe on those tanks and stuff like that.
Okay. Now, were any of the tanks hitting mines or
Yes.
things like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had an APC that was called out one night and everything, and going through these big mud holes and everything. The tanks went through fine. The first APC went through it. There was a command detonated mine and everything, and some people got injured pretty badly there.
All right. So that's the kind of thing. Now, why would they have picked an APC rather than a tank? Is it just lighter armored? Or?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Do more damage. All right. So there are enemy out there.
Yes.
Of one kind
Oh, yeah.
or another. And then, do you work with infantry units in the field, or just with your own guys?
We didn't. No, it was primarily just us, and you know, until I went to sniper school.
Right. But I guess you got APCs, so you've got your own infantry who ride around in those, right?
We had gunners and stuff on them and everything. We'd run a lot of convoys,
Okay.
and we'd you know, bust jungles to break down stuff. And,
Right.
You know, nothing terribly what I felt dangerous or
All right.
anything.
Now, were these areas that had a lot of civilians around, or?
Quite a few, yeah.
Okay. And what impression did you have of them?
Not too bad. You know, there's you know, all the kids out there when we was driving tanks through and you know, running convoys and stuff. Kids out wanting candy or sea rations or stuff like that. Throw it to them.
Now, this is mostly out in the countryside. You're not going
Yeah.
into the big cities
Yeah,
or things
there's
like
small
that.
villages.
Yeah. All right. What impression did you have? What was sort of the morale of the unit like? What was the attitude of the men?
Well, I think pretty much okay. Yeah, yeah. It was everything that we did there was just pretty much routine.
And were there issues with people using drugs and that sort of thing? Was that going on?
No,
Okay. And were there any kind of racial tensions that you noticed?
there was well, there was two guys on my tank. When we went in for repairs on our tank and everything, they asked me if I would like to indulge in smoking some marijuana and stuff, and I told them no. And I told them, I said, if I catch you doing this out in the field and everything, we'll have an issue with it. I says, because I come over here with one golden mine that's come back alive and in one
Right.
piece, and I let them know real quick that I wouldn't let anybody jeopardize my possibilities of getting injured.
And did they accept that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because out in the field, you had to stay
Yeah,
sharp.
well,
and
what you do in the rear and everything is
Yeah,
your business.
right.
As long as it don't affect me, I don't have a problem with it.
Right. Okay. And how long did you stay with the tank unit?
From September to probably like the first or second week of November, and then I went to sniper school. I did not like the tank commander on my tank and everything, and so I volunteered and went to sniper school.
All right. Now, do they advertise for that, or does get a
No, it just come over the radio. Volunteers
Okay.
to go to sniper school one day, and so I volunteered and went.
Okay. Now, did you hunt when you were growing up?
Oh yes,
Okay. So the sniper thing kind of came naturally
yeah,
up on that level.
not real high-powered rifles or
Right.
anything like that, but you know, just general knowledge on how to shoot.
Okay. And so you've done well in shooting and training and that kind of thing?
Out of 23 of us that completed the course and everything, I graduated 5th in the class,
So you could shoot.
so it's not bad.
Yeah. All right. Now, what did the training consist of for snipers?
Shooting daily, or nearly daily. A lot of shooting, and
Now, did they train you, though, in the kinds of operations you would do, or tell you
No.
what you do? This is just strictly shooting?
no, they just General Wolf, when he gave us our diplomas at that, told us if they misused us, get a hold of him, he would get things fixed.
Mhm.
So, you know, well, they took care of us.
All right. And so now once you've got that training, what do they do with you? They send you to another
Put us,
unit or back to your...
Put us back. We worked in teams, and first they flew a tower around and set it in different locations for us to have. But the First Infantry Division there wasn't a lot of action for me in the First Infantry Division. Some, but not a lot.
Okay. So basically they set up a tower someplace and...
They would fly a tower out, and we would set up in it and observe the countryside.
Okay. Now, it would seem to me that wouldn't really fool anybody. I mean, wouldn't the Vietnamese know that there's a tower there?
Well, we didn't see very many, so yes, yeah.
It's kind of, but I guess
That wasn't very effective.
yeah, well, I suppose it might be effective just as an intimidation factor, make
I
them
don't know.
behave and
You know,
not show up or
it's,
something.
It's hard, you know. We went over there with one thing in mind: is come home alive, and it really didn't. Maybe it didn't matter much. I don't know. It just let me get my time in here, go home alive, and in one piece.
Now, when you go up in a tower like that, I mean, did you feel like you were in kind of an exposed position? And
No,
okay,
no. I can hit you further than you can hit me.
all right.
If I see you, I can hit you further than you can hit me. That was never a thought.
All right. And then how long do you stay with the First Division?
The First Division pulled out in February of '70, and then I went to the 101st Airborne.
All right. And did you have any response to the reassignment, or did it not really matter as far as you were concerned?
Well, we knew it was up north, and there was a war going on up there.
Mm-hmm. So that could cause some problems for the coming back alive part then.
It caused more caution.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, how did they get you up to the 101st?
I believe it was a C-130.
Okay, so they fly you up to Phu or Da Nang or Camp Evans?
No, it was. I'm not sure where we landed at and everything, but Camp Eagle was my base camp.
Okay, yeah, because that's the divisional headquarters right there. All right. When you get there, did you have to do the orientation for the 101st, or?
No, put us with a bunch of guys and get ready to go.
Okay. Now, once you're with the 101st, do you have more business than you had back with the 1st Division, or are you doing the same thing all over again?
Oh, well, we're working with helicopters now. I was in Delta Troop. Delta Troop didn't have no helicopters. They used A, B, and C troops to take us on our missions.
And were the rest of the men sort of regular infantry that you're attached to, or were you all snipers?
It was reconnaissance.
Okay. So they're a recon unit, but not everybody in that unit is a sniper, right?
No.
Just
no.
Like how many snipers would?
There was 2 of us.
Okay, so 2 of you with that. All right. And when do you start going out on missions with them?
Almost immediately.
Okay, so still kind of
You know,
early.
I can't remember exactly how many days there it was before we went out and everything. If a helicopter would go down, we would go repel in and secure the area, get engineers in if we had to cut an LZ to get the injured out. That was some of the things we've done, and then just reconnaissance, general reconnaissance.
All right. And so this is early 1970 at this point, kind of February, March, April, when you're doing this kind of thing. And then first, month or so of doing this, how much enemy activity was there? Or do you...
Not a tremendous amount.
Okay.
Not at first. Some, but nothing drastic.
Okay, and then kind of what sectors were you operating in? Were you up by the DMZ or?
Quai Son, Ashall Valley, up away, and Quan Tri.
Okay, so a large chunk of Ivor, basically.
Yeah, it was a large area.
All right, and So there are different kinds of missions that you've got. There's sort of basic reconnaissance, there's rescue or whatever if you've got to go
Right.
cut an emergency LZ.
Right.
Now, as a sniper, is your job basically to provide cover for the guys who are blowing the
It
trees?
was, well, on these missions there, I carried the XM-21, but we was basically just reconnaissance and everything, and if anything come up and everything, they would, use us as snipers for the first shots and stuff like that. But
But otherwise, you're pretty much just another one of the infantry?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, I don't think they utilized us on those type of missions there as effective snipers.
Mm-hmm. All right. And how did you get along with the guys in the unit?
Oh, great.
So these were kind of motivated or got good soldiers?
Yeah,
anyway?
well, we played cards, and then we had beer drinkers and whiskey drinkers, and then you had another hooch and everything. You had your people that when they was in the rear, they would smoke their marijuana. Right. So, but I got along with all fine.
Okay. And then as you get a little bit farther into the year, I mean, in that sector, a lot of the activity will be on and right around Ripcord.
Yes.
And then how much did you have to do with that?
Well, it was, they come through one day and they says, we need volunteers to go to Firebase Ripcord for perimeter guard. Mm-hmm. And so we was sitting around kind of bored, and I told my sniper partner, I said, hey, let's go. So we volunteered for 10 days, and we ended up being there 30 days.
All right. So when did you go out?
I don't remember exactly when that was. That was probably
were
March,
you there?
April probably.
Okay, because they established the base in April, and that's when they first set it up.
Okay, it might have been. I think I was there. I'm thinking it was probably June I was there.
Okay.
End of May, part of June maybe.
All right, but you're not there during the siege part of it when they're getting bombarded a lot. Okay,
no.
So you're not there. All right, and when you get out to Ripcord, I mean, what did that look like to you?
In the mountains,
yeah.
Just a fire base. We didn't think nothing about it. Me and this guy volunteered to go, and anyway, we find out 30 years later that it was worse than we thought. They shot mortars in on us one afternoon and everything, and one of them hit outside the perimeter, and I thought, oh, that's just friendly artillery marking positions for tonight. Anyway, another one gets closer, then they holler incoming, and so we jump in our holes, and here comes another round, and darts falling in on us. Well, they're hitting pretty close. Is the next one going to hit right here in front of me? Anyway, it didn't, and that attack was over with, and we get out and step it off, and it was like 13 foot from, one of them hit 13 foot from where I was in the ground at, and the other one hit like 9 foot. So that was close enough, but we survived it.
All right. Now, on perimeter guard, I mean, did you have any targets to shoot at?
Not that I recall. There was, and then after we got off of Ripcord, July 8th, there was 7 guys in my platoon got killed, and then there was 10 guys in my troop got killed, including this 7 in 5 days.
Okay, and were you out there with them when that happened, or were they you doing different things?
Some of the times I was, other times I wasn't.
So can you describe a little bit sort of what's going on at that point, or what is your troop doing in early July?
I'd rather not go in real depth on all of that and everything. It still bothers me today. Okay. Is there something else I could have done?
Sure. But at that point, you're out there now. Was this kind of LZ cutting missions that you were doing now, or trying to
just
find the enemy?
Reconnaissance and reconnaissance to find out information on, we didn't know it, of course, but to find out things about enemy movement
Right.
and everything
Right.
for, you know, that was after Firebase Ripcord.
Right. Yeah, and there were simply a lot of them out there, and
Obviously, there was, you know, more than we anticipated.
all right, and uh, after now, and then were you in a position to kind of observe any of the sort of the last days for Ripcord or the evacuation, or
No, no, I knew things was heating up, and I told some of my buddies, I said, man, they are really playing with us and everything. They're pushing us to the limit. I said, somebody's going to get killed. And sure enough, that's what happened. And we tried to blame it on upper rank, but after, you know, being to some of these Ripcord reunions and reading more and studying more about it and everything, that's the furthest thing from the truth. That upper rank cared about us. They truly cared about us.
yeah, well, certainly somebody like Colonel Harrison did. And,
Yeah, they cared about us.
and they were more just kind of being put in a bad position without the resources to do the job anymore.
Yeah, that was, it was quite a deal.
Okay. Now, after Ripcord gets abandoned, do you just kind of continue to do the same kind of mission that you'd been doing, going into the Asia or other
Yeah,
places?
well, when I'm down to like 30 days, first sergeant come to me and told me, he says, you weld? And I said, yes. He said, make me some kitchen sinks. I said, okay. He said, I'm gonna keep you out of the field. So I do that. And anyway, he come to me with, I've got 10 days left in country, and he tells me I gotta go out. And oh man, you know, 10 days. I was concerned. But anyway, I made it through it, and I was asked to extend 58 days, and then you'll be discharged when you get home. I said, yeah, my chances of survival are a lot better stateside. I'll do another 7 months. So that's what I did. And I come home, I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, done my 7 months, and out of the Army I am.
All right. I want to back up a little bit to some other aspects of the Vietnam experience. Now, when you're with the armor unit initially, was there sort of a daily routine to that in terms of just eating, sleeping?
Yeah, pretty much and everything. When you shut down for the night and everything, you would put them in a circle like a wagon train and put up your fence in front of them and everything for if you were shot with an RPG. That a lot of times that fence will catch an RPG. So that was pretty much routine.
And did you get hot meals or just sea rations or?
Hot meals most of the time. You know, if a vehicle broke down or something and everything, we might miss some meals. There was one instance we was working in a low area and 2 tanks went through and it was really muddy, and anyway I told this sergeant, I said, we ain't gonna make it, and he told me to hit it. Anyway, I buried that tank to the top of the tracks. And I got a picture of it, but anyway, we ended up throwing a track off of that tank, so we missed our cold beer for the evening and our hot meals. And
Now, if you get stuck, then what? How do you get out?
we hooked, I think it was like 10 APCs back to back with cables and pulled it out and finally got it up to where an RTV could get it. That's a tank wrecker.
Right, so a towing vehicle, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that could be part of the adventure for that. Now, when you're with cavalry units and you're a sniper now, at least, well, when you were still with the 1st Division, were you still spending a lot of time in the base camps and then just going out and sitting in the towers, or?
No, they put us, no, we didn't spend a lot of time in the base camps. No, by no means.
All right. Now, but then you'd be just out in the field, or?
Yeah, out in the field, and you know, they put us with an infantry unit one time. I forget for how long, but quite an extensive deal and everything. It was, after riding on tanks and stuff, all that walking was not a real agreeable.
All right. And then when you're with the 101st, and they take you in and out in helicopters.
Yeah.
And then did you do much? But then as recon, you'd be still patrolling on foot then, right?
Yeah, all of that was on foot, and we worked hand in hand with the Rangers. They ate at our mess hall and they stayed in our area, so yeah, we worked hand in hand with the Rangers.
All right. And would you spend a lot of nights out in the field, or are you mostly?
I'm going to try to make an educated guess on it and everything. I would say we probably spent 50% of our time in the field. So we was in a rear quite a bit, a lot more than a straight leg infantry, a lot more. Yeah, we had it. As far as walking, we had it easier than them.
But you'd also get put in more remote or farther out places and in smaller numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we worked generally a little deeper, but
Okay. Now, when you're conducting recon missions and special, what kinds of things would you find?
weapons and information to tell about, and I can't remember it right off the top of my hand. We seized some important information. To tell you exactly what it was now, I can't, but everything, but yeah, important documents and stuff like that to give you movement, ideal of the enemy.
Okay, so you intercept messengers, or you just find things in bunkers or on bodies of people you
just
take care of? Or?
Yeah, you just in bunkers and stuff like that, you get your information, and most of the time that they had already fled.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time that July 8th was a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you know, that was the worst day of in Vietnam. Other than that, no, it wasn't too bad.
All right. Did the morale in the unit kind of go down after that, or?
Well, you know, you're mourn your losses,
Yeah.
and you know, but you know, you still have to continue to move and think to, you know, for your own survival.
Okay. And then did they bring in replacements for the men that you lost that you had to train, or?
Yeah, but that was yes, but you know, and I can't remember. That didn't happen real quick. You know, we used the other platoons more.
Right. And you didn't stay on too much longer after that.
No.
Okay.
Let's see, July, August, and the first part of September. So,
All right.
no, not a terrible long time.
Okay. So you get back, and then you still got some time left on your enlistment at this point. You go down to Fort Hood, and what are you doing there?
Sloughing off. When I got to Fort Hood, a buddy of mine asked me if I had a car, and I said, yeah, and he says, I'll tell you how not to pull no duty for 30 days. He says, you stay gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that successfully. And so, yeah, that worked well. And then, no, we didn't do a lot.
Okay.
It was just putting in our time.
Right. Okay. So they weren't making you into a drill instructor or anything else like that.
Oh, just, you know, we would run some maneuvers out in the field and everything, and all that was just fun and games and chasing deer with tracks and stuff like that. No, it wasn't. The last 7 or 6 months was, no, it was easy.
All right. Now, when you come back to the States, I mean, did you see much, or were you aware very much of things like anti-war protests and that sort of thing, or was that mostly
What is it now?
anti-war protesters? Did you have any? Did you see much of them?
I didn't pay no attention to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's their problem.
Yeah. But you didn't have to deal with them much yourself anywhere.
Oh no, no. I worked at General Motors. I worked there before I went to Vietnam, or before I went in the service, and then I come back and I put in another 7 years. So I got 10 years at General Motors in Kansas City, and then I went into auto body and paint.
Okay. And do you do that back in your hometown, or were you still doing that in a bigger town? Or?
Yeah, well, I was not in my hometown. I was in Kansas City, and I worked there until the 80s, and then I moved to Texas.
Okay. And then but then did you move back to Missouri then?
Well, when I got out of the service, yeah, I moved to Missouri, and I spent till the 80s, and then I finally ended up in the 80s going to Texas.
Mm-hmm. All right. I was asking you because you gave me a mailing address in Missouri. So.
Yeah, what's that now?
You gave me a mailing address in Missouri.
Yes, but I worked in Texas.
Okay.
I'm retired now,
Oh, okay, retired,
and now I live in Missouri.
Okay, so you went home. Okay, so
Okay.
that makes sense. That fits back together again. All right. Now, to look back at the time that you spent in the service, what kind of effect do you think that had on you?
I think it probably made us more disciplined by all means and everything to handle the outside world maybe in a better way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. You know, it depends on the circumstance there. You know,
Right.
we certainly wouldn't put up with any nonsense from anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it made me tougher.
All right. Is it something you would do again?
Something that I would what?
Do again?
Oh yeah, give me a gun. I'm ready to go.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, clearly you came out of this in one piece, and you've gone and you've had a life and career and so forth. And an awful lot of guys came back from Vietnam and did that. And
Yeah.
sometimes we lose track of that.
Yeah. Life is good.
All right. And then how did you wind up connecting with the Ripcord Association?
Oh, that's a super interesting story there. When I was in Texas, me and my wife had separated. I moved down around Fort Hood. Well, after work one day, I stopped in for my cool refreshment, and a guy's got DV plates on his truck. And he walks out, and I ask him, Vietnam vet, right? What year? 69, 70. So was I. What outfit? 101st Airborne. So was I.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned a Firebase Ripcord. He said, you was on Ripcord? And I said, yeah, for 30 days. He said, I got somebody I want you to meet. He said he was a commanding officer of the 3rd Brigade.
Oh, my.
And he later became a 2-star general, and he wrote a book about the Firebase. So I go over and meet General Harrison, become friends with him and his wife, and General Harrison called me one time and told me that they was having a reunion in Springfield, Missouri. So I went, and this is my 3rd one now.
All right. Now, General Harrison's a remarkable man.
Yes, he is.
Certainly agree. All right. Well, thank you for coming on in and sharing your story with me today.
Thank you.